The Secretary of State for Defense of the UK, John Healey, will embark on a two-day visit to Washington. He plans to discuss assistance to Kyiv with the United States Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and the proposals from European leaders regarding the establishment of a long-lasting and stable peace in Ukraine.
Briefing notes from the Ministry of Defense said Healey and Hegseth would discuss the plan for peace in Ukraine being worked on by the US, UK, France, and other mutual defense issues, including combating Islamic State in the Middle East. From The Guardian publication,
the Secretary of State for Defense of the UK reminded that the Prime Minister of UK, Keir Starmer, had made it clear that London would continue discussions with its allies. On March 3rd, the Prime Minister of the UK held a phone conversation with the US President Donald Trump. Afterward, he briefed the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, on the discussion.
"We are coordinating our positions and doing everything to achieve guaranteed peace as soon as possible and bring an end to this war. Peace is needed for all of us, a just peace with clear security guarantees. Together with the leadership of the United States and all of Europe, this is absolutely achievable." Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the President of Ukraine, on X social network.
Following the London summit, the Prime Minister of UK, Keir Starmer, stated that he had agreed with leaders of Ukraine and France to prepare a joint plan to end hostilities. Finland and Norway also participate in its development. According to the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, this plan could involve a temporary cessation of air and naval strikes, including on energy infrastructure, for 1 month. The UK, as stated by its Under-Secretary of State for the Armed Forces, Luke Pollard, is exploring various options for a resolution. Both London and Paris aim to secure US support for these peace initiatives.
We must strengthen our relationship with America. For our security, for our technology, for our trade and investment. They are and always will be indispensable. And we will never choose between either side of the Atlantic.
The Prime Minister of UK, Keir Starmer, and President of France, Emmanuel Macron, could travel to the United States together with the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, to present a European peace plan, reports the British Daily Mail. This possibility was also suggested by the spokeswoman of the government of France, Sophie Primus.
There is a possibility that Emmanuel Macron will soon visit Washington with his Ukrainian counterpart, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, and the Prime Minister of UK, Keir Starmer. This visit could take place in the near future.
However, sources from the Elysee Palace have denied this information, stating that there are currently no plans for a new visit by Emmanuel Macron to Washington. European countries cannot support a ceasefire without security guarantees for Ukraine. The sovereignty of Ukraine and the security of Europe are at stake. This was stated by Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs Jean-Noël Barrot during a speech to Parliament. He emphasized the importance of distinguishing between a peace agreement and a capitulation agreement, which Europe will not support.
Our responsibility as Europeans and our duty to the French people is to do everything possible to help Ukraine hold the front line, because this front line is the first line of defense for Europe and France. And here, we, Europeans, face a choice that has been imposed on us: effort and freedom, or comfort and enslavement.
It is expected that the venue for discussing the future European peace plan will be an emergency summit of EU leaders in Brussels. The main topic of the meeting will be increasing funding for the EU and Ukraine's defense. European leaders plan to discuss Europe's contribution to ensuring security guarantees for Ukraine and the next steps toward ending the war and establishing lasting peace. Reported by Alexandra Zaslavets, Valeria Nikipelova, UATV News. The UK is all ready to apply its military personnel to Ukraine to ensure the implementation of the peace agreement, Prime Minister Keir Starmer has said. This is the first time that the head of the UK government has publicly admitted that he is considering sending British peacekeepers to Ukraine, the Telegraph has noted.
But any role in helping to guarantee Ukraine's security is helping to guarantee the security of our continent and the security of this country. The end of this war, when it comes, cannot merely become a temporary pause before Putin attacks again. Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, in an interview with The Telegraph.
This decision means readiness and willingness to provide security guarantees for Ukraine, Starmer emphasized. Peace comes through strength, but the opposite is also true. Weakness leads to war, he said.
This is the moment for us all to step up, and the UK will do so because it is the right thing to do for the values and freedoms we hold dear, and because it is fundamental to our own national security. Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, in an interview with The Telegraph.
A peacekeeping contingent from China and Brazil should be deployed along the ceasefire line in Ukraine, the White House has said, The Economist has reported. At the same time, the United States does not rule out the participation of the European military in the peacekeeping mission. Vice President of the United States J.D. Vance noted at the Munich Security Conference that the force consisting only of Europeans would be less effective in controlling potential aggression on the part of Russia. Analysts call Washington's proposal not ideal but promising.
If we are talking about Brazil, it is an option. It is a BRICS country, a country that is one of the leaders of the global South, a country that is quite loyal to Russia, but not 100% and not directly involved in the war. As an option, Brazil is more realistic and interesting. I don't know how interesting it is for Brazil, but from a practical point of view, it's a more real participation than China.
Sweden does not rule out the possibility of sending its peacekeepers to Ukraine. Minister for Foreign Affairs of Sweden, Maria Stenberg, has said, provided that a sustainable peace is achieved. The Swedish military can help maintain this peace, Prime Minister of Sweden, Ulf Kristersson, has said.
Well, we will take part of those discussions, and of course that is absolutely a possibility. There needs to be a very clear mandate for those forces, and I don't think we can see that until we have come further in those negotiations. But Sweden, we are normally a part of strengthening security in our part of the world, so I foresee us to be a part of that this time as well.
Ukraine will hold the consultation with European partners on the issue of the peacekeeping contingent, Volodymyr Zelenskyy has assured. European leaders are ready to assume this responsibility within the framework of providing security guarantees to Kyiv, the president of Ukraine has said. This should be representatives of different countries. At least 100,000 military personnel will be needed to effectively fulfill these tasks.
European leaders have gone to think. I think we will have some consultations, realizing that there is a big question of money here, of possibilities, because it is a lot of money. And if Ukraine sees that the contingent is really one of the components of security guarantees, they will be ready to send their troops to us.
Volodymyr Zelenskyy stressed that this is extremely important for Ukraine, that not only European but also U.S. military personnel take part in the peacekeeping mission, although the White House is not ready to discuss this now. According to Financial Times sources, Washington wants to provide external support to the troops of NATO member states that will take part in the peacekeeping mission. By the way, it does not necessarily include only infantry, the Ukrainian president said. The peacekeeping mission will require the presence of various types of troops, including the Navy. Reported by Alexandra Zaslavets, Nikita Skoblikov, UATV News.